name from Gabriel-Glas. This is our good friend Jonah Beer. And Gabriel-Glas has definitely been a name that's a go-to for collectors, sommeliers, and anyone serious about how wine shows in the glass. How are you, Jonah?
I'm very well, Jen. It's good to see you. Thanks for reaching out from Florida. I'm here in your old home town of Napa, and you're now across the country. So, if this feels great, it's a chance for us to reconnect and to see you and to talk about wine and stemware and all kinds of fun stuff.
I love it. I couldn't think of a better person to do this with.
Well, also because there's just not many of us glassware barons out there. You need it's a small group, but I'm glad to see. By the way, you're keeping up on your reading. You got all the books and everything behind you, so that's great. You're never been anything but professional, and we've always respected you about that.
Well, thank you very much. I try. It's definitely it's tempting because my pool and the beaches, everything is right here. But it's all about the wine, and it's all about making sure that the wine tastes great in a proper glass.
There you go. There you go. Well, listen, I mean, I want to give you a little bit of a background because whereas Gabriel Glass, it's really become more of a name. It's relatively new onto the stage of stemware, especially fine stemware. So the first thing we got to talk about is who really designed and created it. It's a guy named Rene Gabriel, and he is a Swiss wine writer, author, journalist, part-time critic, importer, wine director, sommelier. He's kind of done
Wow.
it all. And he just might have the largest collection of old Napa wines, believe it or not, in anywhere in Europe. He's a
Oh,
heck of a
wow.
collector of Bordeaux and Napa. And of the 16 books that he's written on Bordeaux and the world of wine, the reason one of them's not behind you on your bookshelf is they're all in German. So we just don't know. Like here in the States, we're just not sure who he is. But
Oh,
he's
that's so
world
interesting.
renowned for being a collector and lover of very fine, very rare wines. So Rene is kind of a big deal in Europe, a newer name to us here in America, and mostly we know him over the stemware that he designed and introduced here in 2014. So he's a great guy. He's got a great history and palate. And when we talk a little bit about the glass, you'll see and it'll make sense. Like, why did a guy who collects and is kind of an expert in the world of fine and rare Bordeaux? Why did he make this glass and for what
Yeah.
reasons? And it all comes together. He's by the way, a heck of a raconteur. He's hilarious. He definitely is someone you want to be hanging out with when the corks are flying because it's a heck of a good time.
All right. Well, say no more. I mean, he
I
sounds
know,
like
right?
a
Right. Right, right. So Renee, like you and me, and probably everyone that's watching this, has a cabinet. I'm looking at mine right behind my computer here that's filled with every style, size, and shape of every glass that's ever been made by anyone ever in the glassware business. And some
Yeah.
were, I was told, were meant for Pinot Noir, and some were just meant for Sauvignon Blanc. And I had all those, and so did Renee. And there was a tasting once where he was opening up a 19 like an 1818 Latour or something ridiculous like this where he's got one bottle and 25 friends that want to have a taste of it. So he realized that all the big old Bordeaux glasses were, the size of a fishbowl. And if he puts an ounce in there, it just disappears. And so he started looking at glassware more critically and started thinking about why is it that we need all these different glasses? Do they really enhance wine? Or is it more of a way to get you to buy a lot more glasses? And so he really set out and said, I think that everything from champagne to Barolo would love it if I could create one purposefully designed very detail oriented glass that just does three things. It's going to promote aromatic intensity,
Mhm.
soften palate acidity, and reduce the appearance of alcohol. That's it. And he goes, if I
Yeah.
can do that, what doesn't benefit from that? Everything benefits from that. And so that's what he did. He sat out with a cocktail napkin, a bottle of wine, sitting at a wine bar, and he started sketching out ideas. And of course, that doesn't really do much. So he had to find a guy who knew how to make fine crystal stemware. So he went to
Wow.
this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, it's great to have
Mhm.
an idea, but it's hard to implement. So
For sure.
yeah, where do you go? Well, he found this guy Siegfried Seidel, who was kind of like the crystal engineer of Austria. And for you and me, Jen, he would be like the Andrei Chelichev back in the day. Like everybody goes to this guy to find out something, to solve a problem, to create something, he's kind of the master. So that's what he did. He went to him and told him what he wanted to do, and they started experimenting with sizes and shapes and how the glass comes together. And lo and behold, 10 years later, this little guy was birthed, the Gabriel-Glas. So
Wow. That's
yeah.
incredible. I mean, it's so light, but it feels delicate, but it also feels sturdy, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely is both those things. And it's funny because like we make one universal glass, but we do it in two methods, right? So we have the gold edition, which is mouth blown, handmade, super light. Like that's the very ethereal glass, I like to say. And then we
Okay.
have the standard, which you can see there's not a lot of difference between them. Just the thickness of
Yeah.
the stem, a little thickness of the sidewall, and a little more thickness in the footplate. This is machine blown and hand finished. So this
Okay.
is really kind of our most technically advanced glass because Jen, it's one piece. Take your feel right here where the base of the bowl meets the stem. There's no
Oh my
joints.
gosh.
There's no seams. And then do the same where it meets the foot plate. It's all one piece. They created a machine that can actually blow the bowl, pull the stem, it inverts it, it forms and flattens the foot plate, and the glass is done. But it's all done in the same idea of mouth-blown glass, but doing it with the machine. That's why we can get the price down on this. I mean, if this were a handmade glass, it would be just as expensive as our gold edition. So we
Oh
really
yeah.
have this kind of like two versions of it, but they're much more durable than you think. And you have, because I know I sent you a set of these little silicone tethers that keep the glasses in place in the dishwasher.
Well, I was wondering what they were because
Yeah.
I can be naughty sometimes and just put my glasses in the dishwasher because, right?
Jen, please do. Always wash them in the dishwasher. These are not only
Okay.
dishwasher safe, they're dishwasher encouraged. And for those
Oh,
people that are afraid of it, that little tether in your hand, so the one side, not the side with the hook, but the other side,
mhm.
it's got a hole in the bottom of it. See?
Okay.
So
Yep.
that slides over one of the dishwasher tines in your dishwasher. You know the little things that stick up to hold things in place?
Yeah.
That slides
Okay.
over, and now bend that right in the middle, and you'll see that it'll flex, and you can then hook the on the base of glass, and boom, it'll hold it in place in your dishwasher.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah,
Would you go?
except it would be upside down because you don't want
It'd be
your
upside
glass
down.
right.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Very
yeah.
cool. I kind of thought that that's what these would be, but I just couldn't tell. But that's so perfect.
Yeah, it's we discovered even though the EU requires us to do testing on these glasses to make sure they're dishwasher safe, we found
Right.
a lot of people would hold them and go, "There's no way, it's too delicate." But they're much more sturdy than you'd think. So we created these little tethers so that you can put them in your dishwasher, bend them to whatever location they need to be in, and they'll hold the stems. It gives you a little more peace of mind. And for
Yeah.
me, and I'm sure for you, when you've got those dinner parties of 6 or 7 wine geeks come over and you've gone through every glass in the house, you can now turn more of your dishwasher into a glass washer.
Yeah. I love that. And I mean, it's nice too to not have to use, sometimes it's you're using four different types of glass.
Funny, not only Jen do we is it simplify your life by having one single universal glass, but here's the thing. It actually improves the way the wine's going to show. Now, this is where it gets a little bit, and I can hear the controversy starting in the comment section below right now. I can feel it
I love
all
it.
coming at me. And it's true. Um, you can make a wine glass. I'm going to show you some of my competitors' glasses. Now, I'm not going to say who they are, it doesn't matter, but just use them as examples.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
these two glasses are typically designed to be Burgundy and Bordeaux. And yet, there's nothing about the aromatic compounds that make up Burgundy or Bordeaux that require a different shape. In fact, you can make
Hmm.
a glass can change the way a wine's going to taste. That's absolutely true. But it's not through improvement, it's by introducing distortion. It's just like if you were to take the equalizer on your stereo and turn up all the treble and turn down all the bass. You would certainly make it sound differently, but not the way the
Hmm.
artist necessarily intended. So
Yeah.
just because a
Interesting.
glass can change the way a wine smells and tastes. It doesn't mean it should change the way a wine smells and tastes. And that's the purpose of a universal glass the way we made it. It's not just to simplify your life, although we're happy it simplifies your life.
Yeah.
It's because all the precise elements that went into designing this bowl are governed by the laws of fluid dynamics. Okay, we're going to dive in the weeds real quick. But when you
Let's
pour the
go.
wine in, right, the head space between the widest part of the bowl and the aperture or the opening creates what we call a mixing chamber. That's where the aromas lift up off of the wine and start to fill the space in here. But as you can see, the opening is smaller than the width. That
Hmm.
creates a nozzle effect. In other words, focusing the aromas up towards your nose. But if you take something and you make it really wide and really narrow, you it's like putting a nozzle on the end of your garden hose that's really tight. It shoots the water out really far and really fast. Well, aromas, as they're lifting off of this wine, they're mixing and then they're speeding up. If I taper the side too much, I'll create a trapping effect, keeping some of the aromas bound in the mixing chamber, and the aromas that make their way out tend to be more of them related to alcohol. So you're going to smell and feel more of the heavy alcohol laden flavors. You're going to miss out on florals, violets,
Yeah.
white flower, peach blossom, any ionone kind of character found in any sort of beautiful red wine. So turns out you don't want anything too steep. That creates trapping. Conversely, Jen, if you open it up like a martini glass, right? Now aromas are dispersed and diffused out. They don't have enough focus to reach the nose properly. So that's why a martini glass is shaped the way it is. You don't smell the vodka or the heat of the vodka or the gin. But you also don't pick up on pour wine into a martini glass. You won't smell much of anything. So somewhere between too wide and too narrow is this really beautiful Goldilocks moment where any wine, regardless of its character, flavor, or origin, all the aromas have enough space to lift, enough taper to the side to focus, and they hit the nose in what we call a constantly refreshing aromatic column. It's not that I don't want, I would love to sell you 50 glasses, Jen, and tell you I made a different one for a different thing. But the
Right.
truth is, we just did one and it just works. It just works.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting. I mean, you have to really think about the vision for these glasses. And I've always kind of wondered, knowing that this glass exists and using, this glass. And a good friend of mine, I think you know her as well in Sun Valley, Idaho. All she has a
Oh, yeah.
wine bar, and all Ryan, shout out to Roots Wine Bar in Haley, Idaho.
What's up, Roots? I love that place.
But she uses these. I mean, this is the only glass she has, and they have an extensive wine list. I mean, for
Right.
champagne, for everything. So you have to think like, what what did everybody else get wrong that you guys got right? And it makes total sense. Everything you're saying just really proves that what you guys what he envisioned really came to light.
Yeah. And it did. And I think it's to be really deferential to our friends in the business that have done this for a lot longer. I kind of feel like sometimes Renee is the gentleman jockey that wins the Derby. First time out, never done it before, and wins the Kentucky Derby. Shouldn't happen. No reason that it happened. But it's also because he prioritized those three simple elements and didn't get carried away with other
Yeah.
ideas that we bring to wine, right? And to your point about roots up in Sun Valley and using the glass to run that really beautiful big wine program they have, think about it like this too, Jen. Harlan Estate can buy any glass they want from anyone in the world and price is no object. And they tried every Cabernet, Bordeaux glass from every one of my competitors in blind. Well, you can't really do blind tastings, but they had many somms in there. They had winemakers. They tasted their Cabernet barrel sample, current release, older wine out of every glass that was, quote, designed for Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is the glass they chose as the best glass in the world to present Cabernet
Wow.
Sauvignon. Now,
That's impressive.
it's fun, but then think about it like this. You can then go across the hill to Lioco, and
Yeah.
those guys can buy any glass they want in the world to show their Chardonnay and Pinot. And they went through all of them that were designed for Burgundy, and they decided this is the best glass in the world for Chardonnay and Pinot. So it turns out it's great when I love it when a restaurant and a wine bar chooses what we
Yeah,
do. But when a winery and a winemaker says, no, this is actually what I want. This is how I want my wine to taste. That to me is
that's
the biggest thing. Come
right.
on.
For sure. Well, and I mean, to your point, and back to Harlan, when you get there, you get Dom Perignon out of
Yeah.
these glasses as
Yeah.
well.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You can get it's a by far and away the best champagne glass too. Champagne
For sure.
flutes are a crime, right? Like I think
They're a
we all
crime.
now know that they are a crime. And so Christina Mersnick, who owns and operates Grace Under Pressure,
Yeah.
the largest importer of special club champagnes, she
Shout
actually
out, Kristen.
yeah, she actually travels with her own set of these glasses to pour for people because she won't
Of course
let
she does.
anyone pour into a flute, which I think is
Yeah.
just great.
I love that. I love that. Traveling with the glasses and the special club.
Right, exactly. Hey, listen, Jen, we all can't live the Christine Mersnick and Jen lifestyle. So, some of us, we
I
just
mean,
suffer over here with our little Burgundies and Napa Cabs and Bordeaux's and Barolos.
you're going to be suffering in Barolo in the next month or two.
It's
So,
true.
I think you're dealing with it just fine.
That's true. I do deal with it pretty well. But to that point, proof is in the pudding, right?
For sure.
And so I wanted to do something to just for you to kind of see and feel what we're talking about. So I
Okay.
have the same two bottles of wine here in Napa that you've got there in Tampa.
Should we hold them up?
Yeah. So first one we're going to start with is, well, do you have the Burgundy too?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. Patrice Rion. Shout out to Patrice. This is his Bourgogne Chardonnay. It is just such a
So
perfect
good.
example of how there's still value left in Burgundy. And I'm the first to say there's not a lot of value left in Grand Cru, but heck, there's so much other wine to be drunk around Burgundy. And guys
Yeah.
like Patrice, who've been doing this for generations, they just make this kind of very classic Burgundy. So I want you to take one of your Gabriel-Glas and
Okay.
let's pour a couple ounces of the Burgundy, and then grab one of your other Gabriel-Glasses and let's grab that second bottle.
All
Now we're
right.
talking about Diego Mora Barolo Monviliero. Jen, we're going to be seeing these guys in a month, and they've become dear friends of ours, Francesca and Diego. Uh, I mean, 7 generations of growing grapes on Monviliero, all around the village of Verduno, in Sulamora. Mostly had been selling fruit for all those generations until Diego came along, and he went to university, studied winemaking, and then said, I want to start making our own wine too. So, multi-generation, but yet first time they've made their own wines. And
That's
isn't
wow.
that
That's
great?
great. That's so cool.
And
And
as you,
Montenegro, I mean, there's not a lot of producers that produce off of this. Would it be a crew?
yes, so yes, exactly right. So yeah, Monviliero is it's in Verduno, and Verduno is the cooler part of Barolo, closer to the river, and soils have a little more of that clay to them, and so
Mm-hmm.
you get these softer, more feminine, ethereal style Barolos, and it's really interesting. In the last decade, it's really the focus of Barolo has moved down to these cooler regions of La Mora and Verduno. Not that there's anything wrong with Monforte, don't get me wrong. Everyone still wants their Monfortino, But at the same time, I find that these Barolos from Monviliero are more like Burgundy. They remind me of Von Romanet, actually. Like there's
Wow.
a very blousy, lacy, sheer quality to the wines that I find to be just outstanding. Okay, so here we are. Same glass.
Blousy. I love blousy. I'm gonna
Isn't
steal that from
blousy?
you.
You please do. Look at that. Two beautiful wines, same glass. The Chardonnay just has all that perfume, peach blossom, kind of white flower, and then that like apple pear kind of palm fruit.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty and so versatile. I love this wine.
Yeah. And isn't I mean, it just feels great in the hand, the glass, it swirls easily.
Yeah.
I'm going left-handed. I'm not a left-hander. I'm going left-handed. This is great.
You're going left-handed?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right and left at the same time. Look at this.
Oh,
We're going reverse.
oh, I have on all white. So I don't know if I'm up for that challenge.
I wouldn't be either. I wouldn't be either. Oh man, then Barolo. Like
Oh,
I don't know. It's almost like you remember when you were a kid and you'd cut your finger and you'd put it in your mouth to like stop the bleeding, that taste of like iron and like kind of like sanguine kind of quality. This
Yeah,
Barolo
yeah.
has this kind of iron, bloody kind of character to it, which I think is just
In the
fabulous.
best way possible.
Oh, it's the only good way.
In the color, I mean, I don't know if you
Yeah.
can see it, but it's just this beautiful kind of like almost rusty kind of
Yeah,
but vibrant like an or like orange but in a more kind of like ruby red way, if that makes
absolutely.
sense.
It's very ruby. It's very kind
Yeah.
of like, but old ruby slippers kind of thing to it. And I
Yeah.
also get, when you say orange, I always get a little whiff of like mandarin orange on the nose. And then what's the one thing
Hmm.
that when you're blind tasting and you're trying to spot Barolo or Barbaresco in a blind tasting, one of the things you always look for with Nebbiolo is the combination of acid plus tannins, right?
Hmm.
And I told you that the Gabriel-Glas was designed to soften acidity. So we talked about the angle of the sides and how they change the way aromas are delivered to the nose, either trapping them or dissipating them. But I want you to notice one other thing, Jen. If you hold that glass up, notice how the sides of the glass aren't straight; they're slightly curved inward,
Yeah,
right? So
they really
this,
are. I'd never
yeah,
noticed that.
and this is something that Renee came up with as a way of how helping the wine to fall on the palate so that it softens the feeling of acidity. The big thing is in a typical like egg-shaped glass like this one, when you're sipping, the wine pools up here, and then until you just keep tipping, 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 and then you kind of slurp it off, right? You're kind
Hmm.
of moving it and pulling it into your mouth. By inversing or curving it the other way, what Renee did was once you get to the point where it starts to fall, it falls without changing the angle of the glass. The angle of the glass is barely moving, and yet the wine's pouring and falling out. So what happens is it falls and lands onto your palate so that you're not volatilizing more of the acidity and creating that prickly acid bitter sensation. So it
Yeah.
smooths out and softens the edges of a high acid wine. So you've got the way that it's shaped to give you aromatic intensity, those slightly curved walls to give you kind of the softened acidity. The other thing with Barolo, especially, these can climb up to 15.5% alcohol. And
Hmm.
sometimes you can smell or feel the alcohol in your nose. That's something in your nose called the trigeminal nerve, and it gets irritated when it smells ethyl alcohol. So the third thing that Renee did was he made a smaller glass. He made a more demurred size. He reduced the overall width, aperture, and he adjusted the height and the distance between the two so that the trigeminal nerve's not being hit with ethyl alcohol. So you don't have the impression of the ethyl alcohol like you would in, say, a glass where you're putting in, well, maybe this glass. You'd have to put in
Yeah.
about 9 ounces to get up there, right? So getting slammed in the face with almost anything is usually not a good thing. Like, we typically like something a little more delicate as a reference point for slamming in the face. But ethyl alcohol is really one of them. Like it
Yeah.
is it's the dominant character. And even if Jen, you're not feeling the burn of alcohol or getting that impact, it changes the way wine aromatics are delivered. So
Yeah.
if we think about it, aromas in wine, they have these things called molar weights, right? Which is like like what kind of weight do they carry to be lifted off of whatever they're being volatilized or removed from, transferred to the air, and then moved along. Ethyl alcohol is really good at capturing heavy molar weight aromatics and delivering them to your senses. But that's really the heavy things. It's going to be the dark black fruits, tar, leather, some of those things. It's not going to be anything that's in that floral, violet, iris,
Hmm.
peach blossom, lavender character. So even just the way that the glass can either help demure alcohol sensations, it's going to leave space then, more room for these other lighter aromas to reach the senses and to be smelled and perceived. So Even outside of just the discussion about ABV in general, it's really important to have a glass that's designed and purposefully designed so that it can leave room for non-heavy ethyl alcohol laden aromas to reach the nose.
So fascinating.
It's
Who
a
knew?
new world, Jen. It's a new world for me. Like, what the heck? I've been growing grapes and making wine here in Napa for a while, but this is a whole new thing. Like learning about
It's
how it works has been incredible for me.
it's so cool. It's so cool. And going to your website, I mean, it's definitely, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of evolved into sort of an empire of just purposeful, you know, glassware. You're doing decanters, is that correct?
Yeah. And by the way, I love the use of your word empire. It couldn't be more misapplied than in my case. The empire is right here in the living room. But the truth
Everyone
is
has
that
to know that.
yes, no, right. We created a stemless wine glass
Yeah,
for those times when a stem just won't do. And in your neck of the woods, to me, it's great for boats because you
for
having a
sure.
stem on a boat's just kind of is it begging for disaster. Um,
Definitely not a good, it's not a good idea, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. We also do have two decanters, which are great. Probably my favorite and the one I'd recommend for you, Jen, is called the Drink Art bottle. It's that tall, slender one
Okay.
that looks like an Erlenmeyer flask, like a modern day version of an Erlenmeyer flask,
Oh,
and it
very cool.
fits in an ice bucket. So I use it to decant white wines, and as you know, I like to decant champagne. So I
Yes.
like to use it as a way to decant white wines and champagne, put them in ice, and it fits and nestles right in there. So
Oh,
it's
that's
a
genius.
very cool decanter. Yeah, for those of us that like decanting white wine and champagne. And I can already feel the comment section bubbling up with the next thing that they hate about me. But that's okay. That's okay. I decant my champagne. That's okay. That's
By
just who I am.
decanting champagne. No, I mean, with older champagne, I mean, I have a champagne decanter. I don't typically use it that often because champagne goes so fast. Who has
Yeah.
time to put it in the decanter sometimes? But I mean, truly, like with some of those older vintage champagnes, I mean, it's necessary. It's a wine.
And sometimes too with a very young champagne where the bubbles are just too aggressive and it's overshadowing
Yes.
some of the aromatic character of the wine or the texture character of champagne. So yeah, it's kind of like I use a decanter with young wines. I use it
Yeah.
sometimes on old red wines to rid it of sediment and give that a chance to settle. And then I use it on young red wine sometimes just to come on, wake up. Like,
Get them going.
you're just a little too quiet right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've done those. So we got the decanters, we've got the glasses, the stemless. And then we did, like any real dyed in the wool wine nerd, I'm a major fan of the Code 38 wine keys, the wine openers that are made by Jeff Turing in Australia. And he and I became pen pals of all things and started writing to each other and just for years. I mean, years, Jen, we were doing this. And then when we bought Gabriel-Glas North America, it was my chance to talk to him about, hey, what if I can help sell your wine keys here in the US? And so
Yeah.
it's been great. So yeah, it's just really everything about it is like for that very thoughtful wine enjoyment, and that's what I feel like is what I love about wine. From a simple Bourgogne Blanc to a unbelievably special, Cru Monveliero Barolo. I love the thoughtful way that we engage with wine and why I'm sure people come to Benchmark is you're not there for, a case of White Claw and some porch pounders. You're looking for fine wines and of all price points. Fine wine's not
Sure.
defined by price, right? You know that better than I do. It's defined by
Yeah.
the care and character of the wine itself and the winery that made it. I just love that now I know because we're making them that the
Yeah.
same care and character went into making this stem that goes into making the wine that goes inside. And for
And
that I
that's
feel like we have a small role to play.
no, and that's special. And I mean, it's kind of like with us, storage and, keeping the wine. The wine's already been made, the wine's already shipped, the wine's already in your cellar, but it's that storage
Right.
that is so important and it's kind of the last step. And then truly, this is the last step because once you get the wine in the glass, that's really when the fun starts. But you have to be delicate, especially with these older wines, and a misconception that we hear a lot are, you know, the older the wine, the more expensive it's going to be. And, it's definitely not the conversation at all. It varies so much. And, it's really fun to be able to kind of taste these special wines, out of glasses that, can kind of continuously, you know, work with other bottles. And I think it's really fun to kind of put that into the glass in front of us and share it.
Yeah. And it's exactly that point. It's like there's so much care that goes into every step along the way, right? And
Yeah.
to fumble the football at the 99th yard, it's just a shame. And that's why I know you and I both get frustrated when we go to restaurants that have terrible glassware. Like they have a great wine list and then
Oh my
terrible
God.
stemware. And you're like,
I,
what are you doing?
I
It's
would
just
rather
crazy.
order a beer. Like I won't
Yeah.
drink wine. Like I'll have a cocktail. Like
Right.
my mom lives in Palm Beach, and there's some restaurant there that are so freaking nice, that are so beautiful. They have an
Yeah.
amazing wine list, and they just have the Riedel. Pretty sure you held it up earlier. That's it. That's all you
Yeah.
get for whatever you order. And it's like I don't even want to drink wine. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't taste right. It's like eating steak with a spoon, like you
It's
don't do that.
exactly. Exactly. That's a great analogy. And something I am gonna watch. I'm gonna make Armin Khachaturian and try that. When we go out to Cole's Chop House next time, I'll send a picture of me making Armin eat his steak with a spoon. But
And I want him to be drinking his burgundy out of a martini glass.
yes, exactly, exactly. It'll be mess with Armin Day. It'll be wonderful. But
I love it. I love it.
to all to abuse just one more analogy, it's like when I've spent my whole life on the side of the musician, right?
Yeah.
Writing music, creating music, recording music, and then kind of being done with it. We grow the grapes, we make the wine, we sell it, and we're kind of that's the end of our experience. Once we got into the stemware business, I realized there was a whole nother world on the other end of that where it pays to be a little bit involved. Now we're making the world's best pair of speakers. And so we can write the music, record the music, distribute the music. But now I know that listener is hearing a great piece of music just the way we wrote it, just the way we recorded it on a great pair of speakers. And it's true. If you get into this world, which I have now, if you go down the rabbit hole of high-end speakers, it's nuts, right?
Yeah, I'm
But
sure.
I said to a guy who sells speakers that are world renowned, $10,000 a pair. And I said, "Hey, do you have is there like a one set of speakers for hip hop and a different style of speakers for country?" And he looked at me like I had two heads and he said, "That defeats the whole purpose. The speaker is not there to interpret the music, it's there to have fidelity to the music." And I think that's exactly how I feel about glassware now.
Yes.
If I made a great speaker for wine, it doesn't matter what's going through it. It's always going to taste just the way it was intended, regardless of what style. So, just
As
as
it should.
crazy
Yeah.
as you buying 20 pairs of speakers for your house for every type of music you want to listen to me, it's just as crazy to buy 30 different types of glasses just based on the wine you're going to open. It's not necessary, it's
Right.
not helpful. And at the end of the day, it takes away from that pure high fidelity feeling you get when you see it and feel it and hear it just the way it was intended.
Oh yeah. And I mean, into the restaurant side, I mean, first of all, you're not taking up as much room. And second of all, we've all been to these wine dinners where these big, huge glasses just sort of almost go to like one side of you to the other, and it's like six wines, and it's so
Right.
much more elegant. It's so much more, chic to have, these glasses that actually like that do what they need to do, but they're as they should be in size.
Yeah, and they're beautiful to look at. And
Beautiful to look
it's amazing how Atelier Cren, one of the great three Michelin star restaurants in this country, in the world, is in San Francisco, and they use Gabriel-Glas. And
Yeah.
when I was talking to their wine team, we went through all the stuff about the wine, and at the end of it, the young sommelier goes, "And they just look sexy." And I thought that's such a good point. There's something to
Yeah,
be said for that. Yeah,
for sure. Who
yeah,
doesn't want to feel that way, look that way when you go out to dinner with your, and your
yeah,
glasses just
yeah,
set off the mood
yeah.
for sure. I love that. I love
We
that.
we sell these on our site, and I'm going to send you one. We have these little briefcases that hold two of our
Yeah.
wine glasses, and I take them to restaurants now. If I know I'm going to a restaurant that's got bad stemware, I just order my wine, then I pop open my little carry case, and I take out my two glasses,
Wait,
one for
I'm
me and one for
obsessed. I
Sarah.
want one. I
Yeah,
want
I'll send you
one.
one. I'll send you one. They're so
I mean,
good.
seriously, it makes such a difference.
Yeah, it for
It's
sure does.
truly a deal breaker, I
For
think.
sure. And I tell them I'm like reverse corkage. Like corkage, I'm bringing in wine and taking money out of your pocket. I'm bringing my own glass and I'm taking them home dirty,
Right.
so you don't have to wash them. You're fine. I saved you
Polishing
money.
anything.
Yeah,
So funny. That's so funny.
I'll get you.
You're
I'll get
doing
you
the
one.
Lord's work. You really
That's
are.
right. That's right. Listen, I'm a giver, Jen. I'm a giver.
You are a giver. You are a giver. So what's like next on the horizon with Gabriel-Glas? Like I know your brain. I know
Well,
there's
you
gotta
know,
be something in the works. You don't have to tell
so
us, but
no, 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 no. You make a great point. Like, and it really hit me when I was at home visiting my brother and some family in Indianapolis at the great St. Elmo Steakhouse in downtown
um,
Indy. And they use our glasses there. I'm going to say that over and over. I just it's been great. Like so many restaurants have adopted us. That's just been wonderful.
yeah,
But one of my buddies who I grew up with, he looked at me and goes, "Well, it feels like you've got this wine glass thing nailed." He said, "But have you thought about bourbon and whiskey?" And I thought, "Huh, we really haven't, have we?" So, because
there
this
you
is
go.
it. Like we have no more, we have no glasses coming out. That's it. We make the one glass.
Yeah,
We're done. But we
yeah,
do feel like there's other avenues for us to investigate. So, um, it's new in its gestation period, but we're really starting to think and talk about what other products that we know and love where there's very fine details to them that need a proper glass to be properly smelled and tasted. So the
yeah,
world of bourbon is kind of one that, I have some friends really into. I tried to understand it more. And it's very much kind of like it reminds me of wine nerds getting together. Like these guys
yeah.
talk about things. Like my brother-in-law, Sarah's sister's husband, he is way into this world. And when I listen to him and his friends talk about the way they talk about bourbon and whiskey, I'm like, oh, you're like us. Like you're like
Yeah.
what we do. Yeah. So I don't know. It's an idea. It's an idea. It's an idea.
Give the people what they want. Give the people
Yeah.
what they want.
Hey, listen. Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna be just stunning. Our sister company, Benchmark Wine and Spirits. I mean, people are Benchmark, sorry. Yeah, Benchmark Wine and Spirits. People are collecting old bourbons and old whiskeys, and I
Yeah.
mean, it's a conversation just like wine. So why not have glassware for the people that want, you know?
Yeah, no, it's funny. And it's like my next part of this journey. It's I got to find who's the guy like Rene Gabriel in this world that knows bourbon and whiskey so well that he can smell and taste something and go, no, no, no. You're getting up too much of the oak, you're getting too much caramel, you're getting too much smoke, you're getting too much
Yeah,
whatever, like it's a journey. We make all these in Europe, right? And they're all, I
yeah.
mean, this gold edition is still handmade. It takes two guys 15 minutes to make each glass. And
Wow.
all they have is a furnace, a long metal pipe, and a wooden block that's carved into the shape of the bowl. But the thing about being handmade like that is it gives you the chance to alter it, to change it. So I'm
Right.
actually love this idea of trying to do a whiskey or bourbon glass because I love the idea of sitting there with this crew with a wooden block and go, okay, here's what we've created, and then make the glass and try it, and then be like, oh no, let's carve out a little more, let's change the shape. And you can
Yeah.
just try them over and over again
Yeah.
until you get the shape right. It's kind of a cool thing. It's a
That's
very
so
ancient
cool.
craft. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. That's so cool. And you just, I mean, that I would say, your everyday wine drinker, or, even some of our collectors, you just don't think of that last step of the process. And, it's very, very cool to pick your brain and to hear more about it.
Well, you're very sweet to give me this time to kind of chat with you. One, I miss you. We don't get to see you as much
Oh,
since you've moved out of Napa, which breaks our little hearts here in Napa. But two, I can't tell you how important Benchmark has been in my 27 years here in the Valley of being the place I could go to find all those rare and hard to get wines, where I could try them for the first time. When I was learning and studying and testing, like it became a critical place for me to go to get wines that otherwise I never would have been able to find and never would have been able to afford. And so it's really fun to be here with you talking today, all these years later, and just thinking about how what a wonderful full circle it is when we live and do our business and the things we love. So thank you for giving me the chance.
Oh my gosh, and thank you for taking the time. For us, we love to partner. We love to see how we can work with, other lovers of, the wine industry. And, for us, it's obviously we've worked together for a long time and, from Pilcrow to True North to,
Yeah.
now glassware. I love it. So it's wonderful to be able to connect and pick your brain. You're always just full of knowledge and full of just humor and everything. And I love
Full
it.
of
And I
poo.
know.
You can say it. You can say it.
And I love the scarf. I'm like,
Uh,
what scarf is he gonna wear today?
yeah. This is one of the OGs I went with today. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I like it. But no,
Awesome.
but thank you. And I hope that we can, come back together again and do, some more of these because I'm really
Yeah.
excited to taste the Pilcrow new releases and have
Yeah.
my team taste it. So I know you guys are going to be in Europe, but maybe we can kind of reconvene late summer.
Well, we'll catch up over the summer when we're back and you're back.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right before we logged on, I got a text from one of my dear friends and a great collector, and he just had this one sentence text, and it was just, "Will Napa 23s be worth the hype?" Question mark. And my response back was probably 15 pages long because I really think it is.
Yeah.
I am stunned by how well wines are from this vintage. Like they just have another gear. It's just a really wonderful thing. So when we're ready to taste and talk about ours, you'll be the first to sit down with us and do it. But we're really excited about everything that's going on. I think the valley's in a good spot. We're all
Yeah.
figuring it out. And you know what? We're supporting each other better than ever. It's such a wonderful small community, and
It really
you
is.
guys have been a big part of that. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to buy fine and rare wines and then have drunken winemaker party dinner parties where all we do is pick apart each other's wines and then drink some dope wines that we bought from you
I love it. Out of one glass. That's all you
out of
need.
one glass. I love it.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Jen.
Jonah. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.